please explain about what you are doing right now?
Okay, I'm just checking the spirit. So we run our spirit at quite a high strength compared to in Scotland. You tend to cut your spirit somewhere between 63.5%, 65, 66%. We actually cut it well over 70%.
Oh, really?
We make a very strong spirit.
What's the reason?
We just find we get an awful lot more fruits and flavors doing it that way.
Right.
You know, we did lots of experiments early on, and so at the moment in autumn time we're running it quite high. In the winter time we'll run it a bit lower, and in different times of the year we do different things, just depending on the spirit I want to make.
And in the middle cut, did you actually put some water into the diluted into the cask?
We have to dilute it here. In Korea, the law states that you can't fill alcohol. It has to be under 60% alcohol. It's for fire regulations.
Oh, right.
So normally in Scotland, people would fill at 63.5 or even stronger.
Right.
But we're not allowed to do that. So we fill at 59.9.
Really?
And it's something to do with fire regulations.
Sure. That affects the maturation, you think?
I don't think it does. It just makes it expensive. We have to buy more casks. And you can't. Every now and again, I'd like to fill some casks at a really high strength just to see what happens, but you can't do that, which is a bit annoying. But it's what it is, But that's a law that there's a lot of laws that don't make sense. That one I can understand. That one I understand. It does make sense. So we'll see. So no, we'll just wait for this to run off spirit. So it holds the flavor really well. So a lot of times when you're making your spirit, you start off and you get all your flavor at the start, and in the end you're mostly bulking out your product. But here the flavors run for a long time, right through to the end. That's one of the advantages of cutting high.
Right.
We hold on to the flavor, so we don't have any filling. It's all flavor that we're taking off. They're all good flavors.
Right.
And they're different things, so it's good.
No
bother. And we got, our wash runs very clean as well. So we do that. I think it's one of the things that, everything's now automated, which is great for consistency.
Of course,
but
I much prefer the manual.
I've worked in I've worked in distilleries 40 odd years, and no two stillmen made spirit the same way.
Right.
So they would cut differently, or they would run the stills quicker or slower, depending on. So the whiskey was always changing, and that's why you get all these old whiskies that taste really cool. Now you're going to find not everything, but a lot of the companies are automating their whiskey.
Right.
So that the spirit character is very narrow now. So in the long term, you've got this very narrow window of spirit. Whereas before, I used to work with a guy who came on before me on the shift, and he would run the spirit way low, so he would have the biggest spirit runs.
Right.
So my spirit runs were always short.
Right.
Because he'd taken all the whiskey out, he'd taken all the good stuff out. But that made a big difference to the character of the whiskey.
Sure.
And you don't have that now.
How do you decide what is right and what is wrong? Because of from your long experience, or
just taste.
It's just like a hunch.
Just a hunch.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate because I blended for many years, and I'm kind of good at guessing what people like. I can different countries, different things. Speyside, we used to sell a lot of whiskey all over the world. And when we used to blend the whiskey, different parts of the world, they're looking for different things. So you had to kind of play about with it a lot, for the different markets.
Right. What do you think the most important thing, or the important things?
The most important thing
making whiskey.
For
you.
Gosh, with the most important things. That's a good question.
That's a good question. Yeah. It's impossible to.
I think if once you realise that you're not going to please everyone, you know, I've tasted whiskey that I thought was the worst whiskey I've ever tasted, but someone will tell you that's their favourite.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And you'll
Exactly.
And what I've never wanted to do is make a kind of bland, down the middle whiskey that, you know, lots and lots of people will really like because it's not offensive. You know, to me that's quite dull and boring. You know, there's plenty of companies making that kind of whiskey, so I want to make things that are a little bit different. And because we're the first Korean malt whiskey, you know, I want to kind of have a Korean style of whiskey, so that in years to come, this will be, you know, known as one of the main regions of Korea.
Yeah. Obviously, there's no, you know, whiskey making history in Korea. So now you are creating and making history.
Yeah.
Of making history in Korea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's quite exciting.
Yeah.
So this is the most exciting. Everyone gets really excited when you turn this handle. So this is putting it to this is the spirit, the middle cut. That's just going back for the next time. It's quite funny. So
Right.
Middle cut next time. Doesn't make
Middle
any
cut,
difference.
This one's.
That'll just go into the faints and we'll use that the next time.
Right.
So you can flick it back and forth. So by lowering and raising the cuts can make a big difference to the character of your whiskey.
Sure. Right.
So
Then how do you actually see the point?
taste it.
Taste it and.
It's one of the, see in Scotland everything's locked up. Many
Right.
countries everything's locked up.
Right.
Korea doesn't have laws yet, so I can taste it
Yeah.
every day when we're making our spirit. I taste the spirit.
Yeah.
So while you've got instruments that help you, I don't always go on a precise cut. You know, if I'm tasting it, I think, oh, there's something quite nice there.
Right.
It's like
Can
ever,
you taste it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've just taken it off spirit just now. So this is so that's just off spirit. So that's like at the very back end of it. So that now's about the strength that many distilleries in Scotland would just be turning it on at spirit.
これがミドルカットって言われるちょうど真ん中の部分で、これを蒸留機から出てきたこのミドルカットを樽に入れて熟成させます。すごくふくよかな、アルコール臭はもちろん強いんですけど、
So technically now you've just drunk faints.
Faints. Yeah, that's why it's called faints.
Yeah.
すごくアルコール感が強くて、当然今出てきたばっかり蒸留したてのものなんですけど、でもなんていうんですかね、麦の香りがすごくして甘みもあって、飲めるニューポットですね。ニューポットって飲むとちょっとこうっていう風にアルコールでなるんですけど、これはすごくマイルドというかフルーティーというかモルティーな感じですね。非常にバランスが取れたものだと思います。これだけなんかどんどん飲めるニューポットっていうのも珍しいんじゃないかと。美味しいです。
So when we did our key one to start, so we did what we wanted to do was we launched 3 whiskies. We launched our key one Tiger, our key one Unicorn, and our key one Eagle because we're called 3 societies.
Right.
And the 3 societies are Brian is American Korean, I'm Scottish, our Unicorn, and the Korean people and the Korean landscape, culture, everything about Korea as well. So that's the 3 societies. So we wanted to launch a whiskey just to show people how our the steps that we were going through to get to our eventual first Kiwon product. So it's a progression. So we had a 12-month-old whiskey, 18-month-old whiskey, and 24-month, 2-year-old whiskey.
2 year, yeah.
But it was funny when we sent the sample to San Francisco for the second one, it was in between times. It was in between the Tiger and the Kiwon.
Oh.
So the Kiwon had actually matured another month or two in the summer before we sent it to. So the 14, that was why it was like was that 16-month-old whiskey Kiwon that won at San Francisco?
Kiwon?
16 or 18? I can't remember now. I'm old. It wasn't quite the 18 months. It was a lot younger than 18 months anyway. But it was the same whiskey. So we filled 6 casks, and we bottled 2 casks after a year, 2 casks after 18 months, the final 2 after 2 years. So it was just a progression on to it. And then in February this year, we'll launch our first Kiwon, which will be mostly new oak, I'm guessing. I haven't decided yet.
Right.
So, and then we'll have various variations. Actually, I've got a lot of samples coming back today. The guys are out sampling today with some of our bourbon casks, which is now 2.5 years old, just to see what it tastes like at 2.5 years old.
So it'll be really good after having 3 years of maturation.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, when you come to a new country, there's a lot of guesswork involved.
Sure.
You think things might go the way, like, I didn't think that even a year, like after a year in New Oak, we'd have a drinkable spirit, and yet, you know, we'd a really nice spirit. I mean, it's still a little bit raw, but you know, after 1 year, I mean, how many whiskies do you taste after a year that are terrible, absolutely terrible? You know, and they need to mellow in the cask, but because of the cold winters and the warm summers here, well, not warm, the really hot summers here, makes a massive difference.
That's right. What's the Angel's share here?
It's not as bad as you would think. We've only done those 6 casks, and it was working out about. So it's a very rough sample, but it was about 6%.
Under 6%.
Yeah, which was quite surprising considering how hot it gets in the summer.
Right,
And you think, you know,
nearly 40 degrees.
We get hot like Kentucky. Kentucky, you're looking at 15%. You know, and we were only 8 here, so you know, we're pulling a lot back out of the cask. You know.
Right.
So, and that's one of the wonderful things too. You know, the Americans have never twigged, but if they took their casks and before they dumped them, stuck them in Minnesota or somewhere really, really cold, they would pull a lot of that nice flavour out. But then they sell them to us, and we get their bourbon flavour to add to our flavour. So we get that nice sweetness and vanilla. So one day they'll twig, and that'll be the end of it. They'll realise that they're giving away a lot of flavour.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's very nice. Yeah. Much more than I expected.
Doesn't
Yeah.
taste like 2 and 20 years old.
No. As always, the color is like, 10, 12, 15 years. Yeah. That's amazing.
People think there's so much and I'm telling people, whiskey matures really quickly. But it genuinely does.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was very much surprised that, that it's only 2 years. They even knew my experience. Yeah, well done. Yeah.
Trying things.
Right.
And what I found fascinating, if you went to, in America, this was in America, if you went to distilleries who made, the spirit was okay, nice, okay, like good quality, but could be better, they asked you lots of questions. People who made shit whiskey never asked you any questions.
Right. Yeah.
So, the ones who got better obviously just kept asking questions.
Right. Yeah. And keep going.
And the ones who made shit, they knew it all. They didn't need to.
Right.
Like
Right.
like a working guys.
You know, so it's very. And I'm always learning. I've learned even since I came here.
Never
I've
stop
learned
learning.
so much.
Yeah, never stop. Right.
Never stop learning.
Right.
And you always.
That's a nice word. Never stop learning. Yeah.
And the more you try,
The more you
the
get,
more you learn.
the more you
Because,
learn. Yeah.
you learn as much. Because I've done some different things here, and they haven't worked. You learn a lot from it. Someone once said to me, the worst thing that can happen is someone will like it and drink it. So
Yeah.
it'll be okay.
Yeah. Keep exploring.
Just keep exploring. Just
Yeah.
keep pushing and seeing what happens.
Right. Wow.
That's the best way.
Very nice word. Yeah.